Hey guys, what's up? It's the Fair and Balanced Gamer. This is the first episode of a new series I'm going to be doing where I'm going to be reviewing very unknown Steam games. I'm going straight into Steam and looking for the games that have the least number of user reviews and interactions, going straight to the bottom of the relevance page and picking out some real interesting pieces. They could be good, they could be bad. You'll find out in the review. Today I will be reviewing Aftermoor, a free indie game on Steam. Link to it down in the description. Check it out sometime. When I first saw the Steam page for Aftermoor, I was grabbed not by the quality of the graphics, but the aesthetics of the game. This is a game that boasts a strong central mechanic, if a tad janky at times, and yet I found myself enjoying the setting of the game just as much as those central mechanics. Of course, this is not to say Aftermoor doesn't have its shortcomings, but I'll save that for last. The premise of this game is a spiritual journey after the main character dies of the plague. And I know what you're thinking, oh great, another indie game that deals with spiritual journeys. A tad cliche now, don't you think? While I might have agreed with you before playing the game, I'm now inclined to believe otherwise. What sets Aftermoor apart is its combat and strong stylistic setting. The main mechanics of the game are a fusion of movement and combat. Your primary ability, a charged roll with saw blades, propels you forward and can be used in platforming challenges, or can be used as offense in battle. Next, your secondary ability is a bow and an arrow type mechanic, where you can grapple to certain objects for platforming challenges, or lock onto enemies, and recharge your main saw spin attack, which depletes with every use. By aiming the bow and arrow at enemies' saw blades in the environment, you can recharge your own. These two mechanics are very well developed over the game's duration, requiring advanced combinations of the two to progress. For example, you soon graduate from using your grapple shot on single targets to having to make multiple mid-air grapples to cross large chasms in the map. You also have a combo to jump and grapple with your spin attack to damage larger enemies whose weak points are far from the ground. The entire game reminds me of the works of FromSoft in a mechanical sense, as the difficulty is much higher than most platforming-based indie games. And while I try to stay away from the cliché of comparing games to Dark Souls, this game draws heavy inspiration from it with its use of bonfire-esque checkpoints and precise dodge mechanics in combat that prevent you from spamming attack. Although it's substantially easier than a standard Souls boss, many encounters in Aftermoor require you to learn patterns to adapt to the rhythm of each encounter's gauntlets. As a side note, I found that the upgrade mechanics greatly enhanced my enjoyment of the game by adding a constant sense of progression while wandering from point to point in the map from key objectives. The upgrades cover a range of abilities, including additional airtime, more powerful charged attacks, and additional health and weapons. The upgrade shop was accessible from the checkpoints and could be purchased with the gems that you'd collect while you wandered the map. The gem collection in particular became something fun to do as you went from point A to point B, because it meant that you're constantly looking for the chests hidden away in nooks and crannies that would give you about 100 to 150 gems. Overall, I'd say that secondary progression methods such as these does a lot to spice up a game and add potential playtime and engagement to your audience, which this game's upgrade mechanic achieves wonderfully. The character design is hit or miss. I personally enjoy it, but it's rather crude and maybe off-putting to some of you. However, the work is impressive when you view the map in its entirety. It becomes clear that a lot of work was put into the level design and texturing. It should be noted that the texturing is very retro, to put it nicely. If you're comfortable with PS1 and N64 games' graphical fidelity and general style, you may be charmed by the low polygon, low resolution art direction that Aftermoor takes. I personally believe that the tonally consistent graphical style lends itself to the wholeness that the game has to it. Despite being only 2 hours long, it felt like a consistently positive experience. I would much rather a low-fidelity graphical style over poorly made assets, side by side with high-quality borrowed assets that you see in many indie games nowadays that lends a look of inconsistency in being cobbled together. Overall, I'd recommend giving Aftermoor a play, considering it is free and only requires 2 hours of your time. However, it should be noted that the game suffers from poor optimization, and even my medium-end PC would experience lag.